Olá! Seja muito bem-vindo! Que tal? Bem-vindo! How are you? Hello!
You from
Welcome!
any part in the
Você
world
aí de
that
qualquer
is
parte do mundo.
participating in the circuit of lives of the Brazilian cattle is going to be a satisfaction for us to reach you at any part of the world in your country, bringing to you what is best in our Brazilian cattle. There are going to be information about the genetics, technology, inputs, and everything that is more innovative here in Brazil that can help you in the development of the cattle raising in your countries. We're going to be all of the days during the week, many times in many farms, and we're going to reach you with these lives anywhere in the world. So don't forget to share this information and mainly to participate with us in the different lives of the Brazilian cattle. You are our special invitee. Thank you so much, and we'll see each other during the week. Hello, directly from Expogenetic. We are very happy to know that you are there participating with us once again with us. After all, the lives of Brazilian cattle are full of information, technology, and the best genetics for us to share with you in Brazil and all over the world. So you are always welcome in our house, and I'm going to tell you something. At this time, I have here a team of experts that really develop a work that make us really proud, and that is a reference of the Brazilian cattle and the worldwide cattle, which is people from Naviraí. I would like to present you Carlos Carvalho Filho, who is here with us, Alan Pfeffer. Hello, welcome, Alan. Enzo technician Rafael Mazão from Destaque Assessoria, and who is a partner of Naviraí. Hello, you are all welcome in Expo Zebu. And talking about Zebu, Nelore, and our work is always so good, right? And when we do something that we really like and we dedicate ourselves to that is really so good. And to share that with so much technology, with so much genetic of quality with our friends from all over the world is even better. But I would like to suggest you something before you tell us everything you know about auctions and all of that. I think it would be nice for us to tell people that are from outside Brazil, how do you see the evolution of our Brazilian cattle over the years, Rafael?
Hi, Hisi. Hi, friend, cattle raiser, and that's here in the Brazilian cattle. Everyone that is following Expo Genetics, that is a very important fair. So the evolution of genetics is going hand in hand with the cattle raising as well. For the past 5 years, the past few years, it's important to observe how this is going together. The evolution of the production systems that have provided such an important result for the country, for Brazil, to become more and more an important generator of or production of food and everything that is produced, and to send this production to the rest of the world that comes from the link, which is the system, the production system that is optimized with a genetic of high quality, right, Claudinho? Yes, easy. And it's very good that you mentioned also that everyone that is here in Brazilian cattle and through here and in here as well. It's a pleasure to be here. We feel at home, and that is to see this evolution that you are making here, not only through ABCZ TV, and but all of the resources that have taken the Zebu cattle to the rest of the world. You deserve congratulations. And today we're going to talk a bit about how we dedicate to the cattle breeding and cattle raising in Brazil, and what our colleagues from outside Brazil can expect of our genetic. And
Dr. Alan, not only Naviraí, but our country has been doing an excellent job, and we can be proud of ourselves, right? Yes, with
yes, definitely, because in the past 10, 15 years, the Brazilian cattle breeder has been investing in the improvement of cattle. What we've been seeing here with Nelore and the pace that is picking up, that is becoming a breed that can compete with any other breed in the world, is very important, and it's very fast, you know. I think everyone will be able to see the evolution of Nelore that is here present in the Expogenetic Fair, and we'll be able to prove this. And we are managing to create a change on a national level and international level as well.
We are very happy about that, to see that our country, with your work, and each one of the countries is developing themselves. We are in a process of evolution, and we already have the safety to say that we offer to the world much more quality, much more than volume, than anything like that. The genetic that we have, and the genetic of cut, is very technological, and it brings a lot of security in the final product. So I imagine that today, just like you guys are going to be really happy and satisfied, we are okay about the fact that we really offer something with quality for the national international market. It's amazing to see the different numbers from our genetics, and I'm sure that you're going to talk about these numbers for us, right? So I'm going to pass the floor to you so that you can continue this conversation and say how much you are dedicating yourselves to this market, okay?
You see, when we talk about production and productivity, you hit an essential spot, which was security. Brazil has brought to the world, and not only to the inside consumer, but to the international consumer, besides being the main exporter of meat in the world, it's food security. And food security is essential for us to have open doors to over 150 countries and to which we export our country. And besides producing quality meat, and there, it's very important to know that the link between the production chain and genetics, that it's more and more incorporated in the main breeders in the country, such as in Viraí, a major provider of genetics, good genetic in Brazil. This genetics impact on the system, that it comes from the young calf and with going analyzing, increasing the load of meat in the big cattle, and in a young, more heavier cattle. And naturally, it's important nationally, internationally. Besides that, the consumer that buys that meat here in Brazil, in the country, and the foreign consumer acquires a product that, besides having food security, is a higher quality product as well. So Brazil not only being is a good exporter and a big one, but a quality exporter, a quality meat exporter as well. And a lot of these cattle raisers here that produce a lot of high-end genetics, and it's important to contribute to this project here. I'd like to ask a question to Claudio and Viraí. What is the goal of genetics in Viraí concerning cattle raising? I believe the utmost goal in Viraí, is to be able to disseminate the good results that we have over the 6 years of selection that we've been achieving in our selection process, in terms of functionality, the best results in terms of indices, and really we have been achieving a great consolidation, and that makes it easier for us to see, because genetics is something that is disseminated very easily, and it's very additive. And so bull that is improver, that is enhancer, that we can sell in the market, we can see the results that the animal can bring to genetics. So the focus on Viraí is to put in the market an animal that have gone through the selection process in the past 60 years and that are definitely going to provide a positive result and to achieve the best quality in genetics for production in Brazil and outside the country as well. Yeah, surely. And Dr. Adam, when we talk about the impact of this improvement of genetics for the national herd, Viraí meets all of the demands from the markets, right? A small, medium, and large size producer, right? Or cattle breeder. And we see the result of this usually with big cattle breeders, right? But the small breeders, well, or the small raiser has a fundamental role not only in this area, but due to the fact that it's close to Viraí, right? Yes, Mazon, definitely. We can see that very clearly in our auctions. The auctions that we have, we sell bulls for the centers that are going to provide semen in large scales for large projects. And we also have the cattle breeders that have a large project that buy a bull and that provide service to collect the semen to inseminate the cows. And we also have the PO cattle that makes it used for its, and also to this calf to be used as meat. And sometimes there is a person that buys the bull that changes the characteristic of a micro region around it. So that's the interesting part. We get all of types of cattle breeders in Brazil. We reach them. Yes, I think it's interesting you mentioned about what Viraí focuses most on. So we focus on functional animals that are going to be part of many production systems and sizes of production. And for us to be inserted here in the Brazilian market, that is a super competitive market and a very big one, we need to have this balance, let's say, in a very clear manner, because we sell animals for many different supply chains, very intensive, not very intensive. So we need to understand this situation to offer the adequate animals for our customers and clients. It's what was mentioned. We have to try to achieve efficiently and with the result many different types of customers and clients. Yeah, surely. And the people who are in the field like us, we can see how Ana Viraí provides for this production system. I've been in the north and the south in the country, everywhere, and I see how Ana Viraí meets the demands and impacts, starting with small breeders up to the big breeders, and we want to show a video that was made with Mr. Juca, and he's a great client, and I say he's important but he's a small breeder that brings this testimonial here to show how the genetics from Ana Viraí impacted on his production system, and not only there, but in the region surrounding it. So we'd like to mention to show you the video of Mr. Juca to show how its impact, the impact of Ana Viraí. My father raised 16 kids, and in time we managed to get some money, make some money, and then we invested it in our lands, in new lands. I bought 2 small farms, and we started with cattle, with strawberry and cattle. Ademir is hearing impaired. He cannot hear, but he does everything. Even insemination he has learned to do. So he looks after the cattle and with a lot of care. And cattle, all of them are his friend. It's impressive the gentleness of the cattle with him, with his treatment. And we are very happy and glad. Our region is more an agricultural region due to the weather conditions. We do have frost, drought, and it's a very mountainous region, but it also has parts that are flat, and it's possible to raise cattle. And the idea was to buy a breeder for the basis of my cattle, and after that we bought Nelore due to the fame. We watched TV and some rural channels, and bulls are kind of expensive, right? And we have to improve our herd, but the government in Mato Grosso do Sul has a very good breed, right? So it's time for us to improve. So it's time for us to spend some money, right? And to spend a little, right? Mr. Juca is really strong, and he used to deal with cattle for food, including calves, and we went slowly, we changed it, and we decided to buy a male cow, and we bought 4,000. Okay, so last week we had 650, and it's already, we can use 500, right, for meat. We have to evolve. We cannot left behind. The people buy cattle from us. And if you don't have genetics, when you go to an auction or bidding process, everybody sits on the chair, and when you have a lot of Nelore, everybody stands up, right? So it was a great day of a lot of emotion, and we called there to acquire or to buy a bull, right? When after that, and we saw and we hammered, we bought it, and the emotion was very big, right? I actually got the chills. Because we had very weak cattle, right? And then we managed to buy high-quality bull. It was really moving, very emotional. Even my boy, he was there watching on TV, was thrilled with that, as if it was a goal of their national team in the World Soccer Cup. So it was like that.
I have bought Gigante, and he is young. He is for children, for adults, for elderly. I have made an investment, a real investment. There's been a year that he's here, and I only have nothing else to but thank for him. Genetic for me nowadays is in the first one of the most important things, so that the quality that genetics makes us advance much more. It's an investment because I want a cattle for meat and for milk, and I am betting on him. Gigante is mine. I don't sell him. I don't land him. He's mine. Giant.
There's dream that Mr. Juca had is now spreading throughout the region now, and six, seven arrobas, and what about that in the lower right over there? And now it came from the mother, right? The change is for you to look, and it was mixed breed, and now you have the Nalor. So it's a big difference, right? It's thrilling today for us to look at the cattle there and the origin that came from a bull from Naviraí that was called Baron. That was the beginning of everything. What a thrilling video, right? That shows the potential of the small breeder that bought good quality genetics in Aviraí, and how much that impacted in their farm, right? What is the size of the impact in all the region as well? Not only in the products, but in the meat, in the butchers, where the end consumer or end customer has, and which Brazil is delivering everyone. That's the example of simplicity of Mr. Juca showing here the genetics from Viraí to impact. Yes, exactly. And that has to do with what we mentioned here while the video was showing about sustainability. And it's also something that we're also going to talk about. It's an example of sustainability. We're increasing productivity without having an environmental impact, right? On the other hand, the opposite. Yes, it's very important, right, Claudio, to look at a testimonial like this of a small breeder and for him to be so happy, right? And the most important part is for that he believed in genetics, he saw the result. And a lot of people that have a bull that is not an enhancer has to go over this hurdle, because if you use genetics, you don't go back, without a doubt. And we had a survey last month, and Ricardo Abreu and I, that is the manager of fostering programs of BMDC, and we would have here in Brazil a deficit of over 180,000 breeders to be included in the national herd, cattle herd. So we have a very high efficiency to meet the demand with quality breeders. So there is still a major absorption of cattle that doesn't bring the improver or the breeder can enhance or can bring to the cattle herd, which are the benefits that will impact. And we saw this in a testimony, and we have to see that a breeding bull will have a lot of results to the system. And now that you mentioned this, the breeding bull, and I'd like to ask you, and within the tools that we have inside Viraí, what I would like you to mention the tools and the importance of each one of them in the national cattle breeding, and within Viraí, what they bring to the producer, the breeder, the advantages. Viraí in Brazil has the capacities, and the cattle breeders in Brazil have an amazing capacity of absorbing technology that is something unheard throughout the world. We absorb that and we put it in the production system. All of this, the technologies, and we absorb it, we adopt them, cutting edge technology, and we put it within the production system with a lot of enthusiasm and intensity. But I do think that, and I'm going to mention a lot of technologies here, but I do think that, as I usually mention, there are some differentials. And the first technology that is the most basic that brings results, the breeding season, because there are a lot of selection. We talk about selection, right? And for us to achieve, to stabilize the zootechnical indices and to go after them, the first thing we need for us is the breeding season, because it's going to show the characteristics that you have to select better. And one thing that is another differential as well is that over the 60 past years of selections, we have a very good base, because what we selected 6 years ago are basic traits that are still very important within our selection, which is to get rid of cows that do not get pregnant within the breeding season, or there are other animals that have too large tits, and cows that do not want their calves and too much pigmentation. So these are characteristics that we consider in Viraí, and which is a functional type, and it's what we're talking about, a good pigmentation with sexual characteristics that are very evident. And when someone acquires something in a semen, an embryo from us, it involves a 60-year package of technology. And besides this, we still have the breeding season for 30 years now, and transfer of embryos for 30 or 40 years ago we started doing. And we have a lot of in vitro fertilization, IVF, and we had 3 programs of genetic enhancements, which is Embrapa, BCZ, and other institutions. So we went through efficiency tests of feeding efficiency tests. All of the animals from the breeding season, all our young, they have a genomic analysis, and they go through this genomic analysis. We identify characteristics in the male cows, and all of the female cows, and all our group, it starts in the breeding season in 12 months. So they're very precocious. So the animals that are within this selection, they're really precocious. We don't take to up to years, and a very high fertility rate. We get 80%, and in the past 4 years, and 80% of pregnancy in the super precocious cows. And so our production system is very effective, and I believe that all our are technologies that are available to the market, Viraí, we use them. And I keep saying that the main differential is to have this care to look for these characteristics and traits that take long to be gotten, especially animals that have the functional biotype and within the breeding season. And when we travel, and the past few years we went to Costa Rica and Panama as well. I have a lot of contact with Paraguay, Bolivia, Colombia as well, right? Colombia. And we travel and we see their production systems. We see that what really is going to make a difference are these basic traits. Breeding season that is very well conducted and conducted, and that's the moment for us to go with genetics to improve the selection indices within that system of production that we're gonna in which the animals are gonna be put. So I'm gonna ask to show the video of the matrices of the cows in Viraí that are helping us here. It's very important, Dr. Alan, and he is a veterinarian doctor, and he is always very careful. He's always very close to the reproductive part in Viraí, and the breeding season impacts so much in this and in other herds as well, because they come from a smaller breeding season uh, that are very important, and that encourages the super precociousness, and it's completely inserted within the selection of Viraí and coming from the reduced breeding season, right? And that impacts not only the cows that are precocious, but also the oxen that are also the male cattle that are we have seen. And in the selection of the male cattle, we are in the leadership of the most super precocious males that produce semen, and this has happened for the 20 past year in the female cattle, and that is a low durability characteristic, and that's why it's so important to focus in this fertility, not only in the guiding of the matrices, but also considering the super precocious in concerning the sexual puberty challenge, right? Yes, as Claudine has already mentioned, I also believe that the breeding season is extremely important tool for us to evolve in this genetic selection. And something else that the breeding season causes is a more uniformity within the animals that are in the farm within this production system. And the cattle that are too large are not going to be able to be there and to remain, and the too small are not going to have the same average. So you can uniform to make it more uniform your herd, and it's what we've been saying a lot. It's the basic within the farm, right? We have to do what's basic. The first thing, we have to start from the basics within the farm so that we can move on and do it very well. So we can move on to discard considering genetic assessment. These indices are super important. If you don't have a season breeding that is not well done and too many calves are being birthed, you won't be able to replenish the female cows and as you wish. And if you don't have a breeding season, you won't be able to go to the next step, and you need to put in the herd some animals that you wouldn't like to put. And so perfect. We want to follow your work, and we see it every day, and we can see that how Viraí is very careful in the selection of the female that stay in the herd, not just through the voluntary discard, but the involuntary as well. The discard that you have with the matrices that are functional in every sense, due to the quality of being generate and a birth, and in terms of health, and when it comes to longevity as well, taking good care of their calves, and we see how that impacts in the production system. We were talking about this in the backstage, how much longevity is important. So it's a matrix that births three calves in the system. Before that, they are not cost effective, and Aviraí really values this in the production system. It has to be precocious, to birth soon, and to birth a lot, right? All of these two, right, are important in the production system that is functional and the search for a functional animal. And this balance that Aviraí looks between an animal between being productive and being having a functional type is extremely important, right? And an evidence of this is Aviraí has shown something different from the market, which is the type with genetic analysis, as no other brand can do this, as other companies, and this impacts directly in the production system as well. I'd like to ask a question, Dr. Allen. What do you think that impacts the most, or what are the factors that impact the most the genetics in Aviraí in beef cattle? It's what you mentioned. It's the biotype that Aviraí has been searching for almost 6 years now. Actually, has achieved for the past 6 years, and the genetic evolution that is constant in the indices of genetic assessments, all of the parts that are important. And to align this, to join this with the functional biotype to be a medium-sized animal, large mouth, a large body size, this is very important for us. It's our goal, and we're also always trying to improve the indices, the genetic indices. I think this is fundamental, and that's what makes a difference and what people look for when they ask for the type of genetics in Aviraí. It's this biotype aligned to a very genetic structure. And of course, when we align this type, especially considering these genetic improvement programs, this result that impacts and financially the system as well, it comes from an animal that is heavier and the carcass value that is very important. That's what we see that Aviraí has been doing within the economic characteristics that impact in the system, right? Yes, I think that Aviraí has this criteria of selection for the functional criteria that are not written down in the genetic assessment paper forms that is very strict. And we do know that since we live off of it and we were born into it and we have a team that is concerned with these animals that are functional and are more efficient in the production system, when we have the multiplier animals of semen and embryo, these animals went through a selection process that was very thorough, and the main advantage for our customers is to have a differentiated basis. I believe it's really hard within the Nonor breed to have a basis of matrices without going through the genetic part in Aviraí, since I am suspicious by saying this, but we can bring an animal to the market that benefits from the past 50 and 60 years we've been working on. The consistency in the results of Aviraí, we see we have tests in so many herds, and we see how we're really impressed how this impacts the homogeneity and within the production. Without a doubt, Aviraí is the best brand in terms of phenotype, and especially in the reproductive and breeding results. That is uniform weight after weaning a calf, and the use of carcass when they are younger and with better quality of the meat and the beef that are characteristics within the selection, right? Both for the profitability and also these other characteristics, and matrices as well that are very precocious, functional, that live long, and they have a motherly qualification that is very important. So this integration with genetics and bringing results as well, this high genetic potential as well shows us very clearly that Anaviraí has a very big concern when it comes to sustainability. I'd like you to mention this and concerning sustainability. Why do we need to improve genetic characteristics and to have sustainability? What is the relation between this? I believe that we have always been concerned with productivity per area, and we know that with the increase of the number of of cattle by area and the efficiency by considering an area, we can increase. We have a carbon footprint that is positive instead of being negative. So we can optimize these characteristics and what we can produce in specific area. It's a lot more with efficient than with a system that is not intensive. So we are always based on animals that have a big response to intensive handling. And with genetic, we are able to get this constantly, to evolve constantly. Every year that is passing is we are sequestering more carbon and putting it back into the soil. So I believe that the sustainability of the genetic improvement of the intensive production system, Embrapa showed this very well. And we've been managing to do this in a very intensive manner to produce more meat and beef per hectare and calves also. And every year we increase this production the more we sequester carbon and more sustainable we are. And I believe that production system as a whole is going to be molded. We reuse manure, we use more natural sources. In Naviraí, here we have a lab of on farming biological farm labs to reduce the quantity of pesticides that we have in the pastures. And I believe that Naviraí is always connected to this characteristic of sustainability. Yeah, especially the integration with cattle breeding, right? Yes, that makes a whole of a difference, without a doubt. Then with the optimization of resources and optimizing also the area throughout the year, right? Yeah, right, Claudia. Yes, sure. And I believe that if we get the figures of productivity of the areas, both in Santa Marta and in the chácara in Uberaba, the small farm in Uberaba, maybe maybe 10 farms in the world can produce what we produce by hectare. And we see that this production is more and more using natural resources more often, and the byproducts of recycling, of biological areas, well, and that's the way to go for us to increase the productivity in the rest of the world, and without increasing our environmental or carbon footprint. We can actually deliver more to the environment and in all areas, following the protocols that are national. And Brazil certainly is one of the countries in the world that values the most the environment, that cooperates to preserve the environment. And no other country in the world has such strict environmental laws, and the way they are dealt with or they are abide by. And we're very close to 100% compliance, right? Yes, and everything that Anaviraí mentions, all of the work of qualification of improvement in genetics and the workforce as well, that is very valued within the company. And it brings results to the final product. And this final product will be here in Expogenetica and in the pavilion or in the stand of Anaviraí. We would like to invite everyone here to come to look at the stand, see the progenies of the main bulls of Anaviraí. They'll be shown on display some animals that were of genetics made by Anaviraí, and bulls as well, right? And if you want to look at the bulls that are going to be auctioned in Leilopec and August 28th, and on Sunday, the most important one auction of these auctions is during the Expogenetica. So at the beginning, at the top of the crop is here, and that let's invite them for people watching here, the audience, for breeders of anywhere in the world and from Brazil. Let's ask them to come here to the cattle auction and to look at the animals here in the pavilion. So everyone who's here, we have a pavilion that has some of the bowls that were made by us and people who can even videos of Anaviraí, of Santa Marta Farm that is far from here, videos of the Anaviraí Chácara also. If you want to schedule appointment to go there, we can do it. And we can see the bulls that are going to be auctioned at Leilopec here, and it's very near the park. And we can exchange a lot of ideas. Anaviraí is present here in Expogenetica, and we're here to exchange ideas, and especially through the social media such as Instagram. It was very important to remember this, right? Because let's mention here some the channels of the social media, WhatsApp contact of Anaviraí Farm, and the team of Anaviraí is going to be ready to provide services for you or any time of the year. The contact will be here, WhatsApp, which is 3433194000, and you can access here. And more than this, for you who are a breeder, a foreign breeder connected to Brazilian cattle, get in touch with Anaviraí. See if you have the protocol for export of programs of animals and semen. Get in touch with the commercial team of Anaviraí. We're all available to meet your demands and to have good businesses, right? That is important, right, Claudine? We have so much demand from countries from Latin America and Central America also coming waiting for and asking for our genetics here, and they will all be welcome to get in touch with us, right? And Honor is ready to go to all of these places, right? Great. And now we'd like to finalize by thanking all of the Brazilian cattle team, especially from BCZ TV that enabled this streamed live, and everyone from the team that they're here together with Claudinho and Dr. Alan come here to Expogenetica and make good business during this week.
That's it. When we have a lot of dedication to talk about that, we talk a lot with a lot of quality. Therefore, I would like to thank you so much for accepting our invitation to talk about Naviraí's work and share this work with everyone else. The work that you developed for many years is amazing, and this excellency that you have really share that with all of the farms in Brazil, all over the world. So receive our hugs, and we are very proud to have you part as a part of the Brazilian cattle. Thank you so much for your trust. Have a lot of success in your auction. I hope that you get the fruits of your work. Thank you so much, Claudio, Alan, Manzão, and you, my friend, that is there participating with us in Expo Genetics. You cannot, if you are not here in person, you can participate in our virtual fair. And until next year, when we are going to be able to have you here with us and receive our hug in person. So thank you so much for sharing this time here with us. Don't miss it. We're going to have many more lives, many more information that are going to be shared with you. And I wait for you in the next days. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello, welcome to another live of the Brazilian cattle. It's a great satisfaction for us here in Expo Genetics to know that you are there at your house participating with us in our fair, even if only virtually. And today we are going to bring you more information, more techniques with our partner, Zembu Embryo, one of the greatest embryo centers of Brazil that has a lot of technology and a lot of quality to offer embryos to Brazil and to any other country in the world. To tell you a little bit more about these technologies, this structure, and this dedication we're going to receive here in our studio of ABCZ TV. With you, we have Mr. Claudio Demetrio Jr., who is the Director President of Zembu Embryo, and Karine Rodrigues, who is the coordinator of the administration and financial sector. And the zootechnician Natalia Rodrigues is going to participate virtually here with us. So, welcome to our Expogenetics, a virtual fair, and you can share with everyone all of the technologies and all of the greatest innovations that I'm sure that you are developing in Zambu Embryo. That is a wonderful place and that deserves the invitation for you to visit them in their moment, in their symposium when they're here, okay? So I wish you a great live with a lot of success, and I'm going to pass the floor to Mr. Paulo for him to conduct this live.
Well, thank you very much. We thank you for to be part of being part of Brazilian Cattle, to be present here in Expo Genetics 2022, that for all the world tropical cattle breeding is the most important moment to show the work of all cattle breeders here, and it's a great moment here. We're going to talk a bit about what we're developing, the work we're carrying out in Zebuino. So if you don't know us, if you're in a different country especially, Zebuembro was established by two cattle breeders, or two groups, or two people and companies in we came from Ceará, and we joined with Santana Farm, and we started with Zebuema. And Zebuema is in the Mineiro area here, at near 10 minutes away from Uberaba, and we established here. And Zebuema now here, it has its own lab. It has quarantine for exports, and we're going to talk about Carini and about some protocols that are being developed. And both Brazilian Cattle and BCZ have been helping us in all of these processes for us to be enabled to export and for embryos to other countries. It's really important. If you have the chance, we're going to show a video here in a few minutes. If you have the chance to be here in Expo Genetics, look for us. We are at the part near this main area, and we are going to be really pleased to show you Zebuem. And there we have the production, which is our main focus, and also the commercialization of the embryos. And of course, we're also commercializing semen, both from our bulls and our partners and clients as well as national, international semen from dairy cattle to beef cattle. And maybe that might be the future, right? A semen center, but it's something that we're going to think about in the future. And right now, the main part of our activities are the embryos and the donors that are already there from all the Zebu breeds. I suggest us to watch a video, and after that we're going to talk to Karine. Natalia's online, and we'll keep talking after this. Well, it's interesting to watch this video. We show some of the things that happen within it. Zebu embryo, before we say other things, it has a concept which we think is differentiated in cattle breeding here in Brazil. It's an innovative concept within starting from the origin and our work, which is the environmental and the social part. We have an international certification, ISO 14001, which is focusing on the social. We have a selective collection of garbage and waste. We have some of the sawmill that we use to make the wood of the trees that fall down and to make furniture. Besides the well-being of the animals and the care with our associates. And we are very well concerned, especially with a modern management. We manage not only the company, but we manage the people that are within us. That makes Zebu Embryo to a company that is prides itself in with all of the concerns that has concerning the nature, environment, and the people involved in this operation that make our company so that we can get to where we want to get. So now I'm going to have a chat with Karine. Karine can explain a little about the products that we're working with. Natalia is going to talk in a while, and Karine is going to explain what we're doing so we can offer to all of you, both from Brazil and abroad, our products, not only the embryos, but also providing services and concerning
Hello, good
exports.
morning. My name is Karine. It's a pleasure to talk to you, our clients, our partners of Expogenetics and Zambu Embryo. Besides being in this part that was mentioned here, administrative and financial sector, I also take care of the development of a work that we're doing for a long time regarding the commercial part, the trading of the international partners. And our greatest objective today is to give support for us to be able to really have more and more exports. And Zambu Embryo is already certified and is in the process of being accredited as a technical responsible company. We are working really hard with Comapa and with our partners to really be able to leverage more and more our exports and to work with these countries all over the world. We have some countries from Latin America that we are already accredited in. And my work today in this concept is to really be able to develop and open exports in more countries and more markets and really give all the support that our international clients need so that we can give them our embryos and our work, our genetic improvement in Brazil, which is what we're doing with a lot of effort, with a lot of focus. And Natalia there in the zootechnician part, she works hard about this and she can tell you what we can do in regards to this embryo to bring you the best.
Well, Natalia, explain to us. Now we have our own lab within the farm, right? That is enabled and accredited by the Ministry of Agriculture, MAPA in Brazil. Explain a little about the activities that we carry out within the farm from the production and commercializations and providing services as well.
Well, I would like to say that in Zembu Embryo, which is a company from my heart that I am in since the beginning of the project. Okay, so Zembu Embryo has a different focus of different companies that I have always followed, and our service for our clients is very good. We focus on that, and we want to know what the client wants, what the client needs. So, along with that, Zembu Embryo also tries to develop projects for the clients in regards to the selling of the embryo of the semen and of the selling of the service. So Zebu Embryo sells the embryo that Mr. Plauto has mentioned in a few years, and I find that fantastic The embryo is a tripod, and as a consequence of this tripod, which is technology, genetics, and service. And from this tripod, 80% of this is the service to the clients, which is something that can evolve our cattle raising very much, but we need to be careful about that. That's why Zambu Embryo is in the market to offer a service that is differentiated for our clients, designing projects to our clients and really making them have the best support possible since the beginning of the production until the end of that. Okay, so Zambu Embryo also has the service of lodging the different donors, and sometimes the client don't have this production of embryos, so we can do that all internally in Zambu Embryo, and our client can send their donors for us, and we can lodge them for them, and we will work with a lot of care to not let that donor be too much inside Zambu embryo without the collection of ostro for her to be able to produce embryos and for these embryos to be sold or to be sent back to the customer for him to do this reproduction in his own property. We also have the lactation service, which is very detailed. We have one server inside our company that really likes to take care of that, and he can know that if that donor can be a reproductive animal or not. And now we have a partnership with the selling of semen, both of milk and of meat. And we also take this service of support to the semen market as well. And all of these cattle raising services are not massified, they are personalized and they are customized to each one of our clients. We want to really give the best service possible to everyone. And our clients, we usually joke that they become friends and they can enter our house after a while. So we go to the farm together. So the receptors and the technicians, they can go to the genetic and Zambu embryo sectors. So in this name, the technician is going to go to the genetic server and select the donors and have the reproduction for each one of the clients according to their projects. And we follow each one of the parts of the project and we do the selection of the donors internally in Zambu embryo and also the transfer. So I myself like to go to the farm to have the structure of the farm to be there in the moment of the transfer as well to have more better results and to really be able to defend what we have. So that is something that we really believe is different from all of the different parts of the market. People massify that very much, and that is not what we want. We want a work that is different from all the others. And I don't even need to talk about genetics because that is something that we really want to spread. It's the best genetics in Brazil and to give the best results that we can get in the market. So I think that's it. If Mr. Plauto wants to complement anything I said, we really do a very intensive work in our team, in our commercial sector. Carini give us gives us a lot of support and we help the entrepreneurs And that is the path that we want to follow. So that's what we want to do.
Great, Natalia. Congratulations. I think that you said it all. Our approach of 80% of our work to be providing services and not just the product or embryos. Even though starting in 2012, we talked about becoming not only a creator of embryos producers, we are provider of services as well. We were thinking about how to multiply this good genetics using the tool of embryos. And we managed to understand that embryos still is a new technology. It's not something canned or a one solution fits all. It's that we understand that the service that we provide the clients and considering the fit, going to the farm to understand what the project of the customer is and the focus, and also to increase the animals that want to be reproduced and bred. I think it was interesting since we talked about structure, right? That shows the facilities of the farm. And once again, if you are in Expo Genetics, if you're outside the country, go look for us. We have the social media, zeboembryo.com. We have on Instagram, Facebook as well. If you want to go to Expo Genetics, go there. It's important for us to chat and understand how we understand. Is it possible to show the video? It would be interesting for everyone to have an idea what the facilities of the farm are. It's a property that is fantastic for it. 15 kilometers away from Uberaba. It's next to the BR 50, next to Ribeirão Preto, and we couldn't have been more better well located than we are right now. So we are very well serviced with water and pasture. It has the ISO 14001 accreditation that operate in the operation of the farm, and it's with a very great satisfaction that we can say that we are installed here Zebu embryo in this place. We are really pleased, as I mentioned here, to be there located and to be part of the Zebu embryo team. And Karine, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the operations and the procedures within our facilities. We just managed to create a commercial team that is really important and with semen and beef to commercialize actually correcting beef and milk, then after to commercialize semen as well. So when you look for us, when you talk, we'll realize that we're ready to provide services both to the domestic and international market with this new commercial team that is working really well to meet all demands. Can you talk about the processes and strategies that you're setting up for us to meet the demands and to explain to customers more and more the difficulty that we have? It's not really difficulty, but the specificity that we have to create an embryo here or in another region in the country.
So, for us to pass everything to our client, for our partner who is listening to us, like an event such as this Expo Genetics, which is so important, Zembu Embryo is ready to receive all of the demands, all of the needs, being of an embryo, of a semen. We have many partnerships to sell these embryos and semen, and we have a very good team that has been trained to help you, everyone and all of the clients. We have mapped all of the processes, and I am the responsible person for the administrative area, and we are organizing all of that internally to really have the best process possible, everything as organized as possible, as well organized as possible, so that we can deliver the embryo and semen in the best way. So all of this mapping, all of this organization inside our company is being done and we are organizing ourselves, and we are really well structured to really provide the best in our results. And I would like to compliment saying that you, partner and client that is listening to us, Zambu Embryo, what we want to give you is security, because when we do this system, we have many protocols that we follow inside Zambu Embryo. We obtain our registration in MAPA and the Ministry of Agriculture, and all of the internal protocols that we have to follow, and the provision of budgets with all of the different sectors is really important. And our embryo can be regulated and accredited by all of these different organizations. So, both administratively and internally, in the different processes that we have, the team that we have to build, right, Karine? Yes, our team is really well structured, really well aligned, and it follows all of the internal processes. So, and among all of these other things, Natalia, I would like for her to comment how this organization is done in the animal husbandry area, which really includes the feeding of the cattle as well. Please, Natalia, comment about that. Yes, Karini, exactly. We worry about this since the beginning of the process. And our ISO 14041, which Mr. Paulo has already mentioned, we have a lot of worry that is really intense. Our team works with us, and in Zembo Embryo, we really worry about all of the minimal details, literally. So the administrative area as well, and the animal husbandry area as well. For the animals that are in Zembu embryo, we have an internal control, the different feeding, and to have the best animal possible. We know that the kilos that each animal has, the different areas that we have. Whoever is in Uberaba, you need to get to know that. And that is a differentiated structures that our client talks about, that they'd never seen such a great place. We stay 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week, looking at the animals, and we have a routine, and we have intermissions between the support to the animals to produce the embryos in the best way possible. And we know that we cannot remove these embryos many times a day. So we really worry about the reproductive area, indeed. And this is an animal we're talking about. So we need to think about the pregnancy cycle. Everything that we do is thought about. So these animals are completely different. And we know that some produce more milk, some less. And we have this worry. So I think that's it. I think that the storage of the semen that we're going to use in the laboratory is important as well. We have an intensive control. So the temperature of the area as well is really important. We structure all the company in the practical area as well to really be able to attend all of this support to the client. And we really need to see how we are organized, and with the well-being of our collaborators, with our animals. And we are really happy to work inside this company. We are a great family. Everyone is donating themselves to make this project work, and we have complete knowledge about what we do in our company and how important that is for everyone that buys products from Embryo, Zembu Embryo, and they really do this first purchase and they become partners. And it's exactly that we want to happen. And all of these processes that we have done until we reach this place, we are going to become faithful clients and companies with this relationship for a long time. We have many clients that we can comment afterwards, some clients that we work with, and I think that's it. I think that we like to tell stories that are really nice with partners that we have. I think one thing that is important, Natalia and Karina, is about the sanitary safety, right? Because the animals that are that come to Zambu embryo, both from our partners or the majority of the times the ones that we sell of third parties, because as a company we are not able to create and to have all of raise all of the animals. We have some races and some of them there, but majority of them, 80%, 90% of this genetics are from our providers of genetic material. So this is the sanitary issue is something that we really worry about. So we collect, we do some examinations, and we have done that in the quarantine with the cattle that come from abroad. So we only sell it after we assure that it is safe for the client.
Well, something important, Natalia and Karine, that we haven't mentioned is the sanitary measures, right? Because the animals that go to from the clients to Zebo embryo, and both are animals from our partners, and usually we commercialize genetics from third parties because as a center, we cannot create all or breed all animals within our farm, and it has some own animals, but most of it, 80 to 90% of the genetics, it belongs to our providers of genetics and the genetic material and the sanitary part. And not only this, before coming to going to the farm, the animal was collected, the material from the partner of in the farm in the property of the third party, especially when the cattle comes from another property. And after that, we commercialize this, so we can have a guarantee that these animals are sanitary handled in a sanitary manner, and we can do a very secure
Ah,
thing
y
for
en
our
eso, don
buyers.
Plauto, cuando el embrión va a exportación, todo el protocolo de pruebas que se hacen en los tiempos de cada país y que justo nosotros necesitamos entregar para cumplir con las exigencias de cada país. Eso está muy bien ordenado y registrado internamente. Tenemos una responsable técnica que hace todo este seguimiento y lo más importante realmente que queremos transmitirles es confianza, que tengan la seguridad del trabajo de ese embryo, que al traer su animal acá están seguros de buenos resultados. Trabajaremos para entregarle la mejor genética y el mejor resultado y que confíen en nuestro
And
trabajo.
we also are gonna make ourselves available so we can create your project in tandem with us to know where you want to get with your genetic plan, what is your goal, the purpose or the target within your property, be it beef cattle or dairy cattle, where you want to get with the genetic improvement. Because as you have seen, as Natalia has mentioned about some clients, some people have visited us thinking about dairy cattle, and we ended up visiting their farms, and we understood that the aptitude and their facilities are connected towards were more conducive for beef cattle. So that's why we set up or we designed a genetic plan for this property and for the beef cattle. And we see nowadays this customers saying, wow, not only the embryos were provided, but also the services that were provided by Zebu Embryo and their technicians. I was there too. I went there in person and I understood that that breeder was not going to have would have a better fit with dairy cattle but beef cattle, and he's part of our customer pool now, and he's really pleased with us. So we understand that before you buy embryo or semen from us for your property and for your project, you have to understand what is your profile, what is your project, where do you want to get, and we're here to provide this consultancy in the best manner possible in the best way for you that you deem well fitting. Count on us, count on our team. Here we have Natalia in the zootechnic proper part of the property, and Karini in the most administrative part with protocols and of the company. And we're always available for us to have more and more customers that are really pleased with our work. So cutting edge genetic material, tropical from zebu, and its crossbreeding that are very important. Set up your project and set up it if you want to have our help. Count on us if you need it, right, Karini?
Yes, of course. And I think that we can leave our contacts here. We have our email contato at zembuembryo.com, at zembuembryo.com, zembuembryo.com. We are at your disposal whenever you want to. So,
Yes, we're here and we're ready within Expogenetics, within this ABCZ TV studio. And next to us, we have our a stand as well. And in front of us, next to the place with the referees. And this is basically the Disney of cattle breeding. And within Expo Genetic, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Come here, talk to us. We're gonna bring you to the farm so you can get to know our work, our genetics, and what we want to do, and what we really want to provide the services for our customers that he wants and to show him what we're able to do. And I always say that we really think it's important within our concepts to work. People ask us, what is the differential? And here, the differential, always one of the property, one of the owners will be there, and I think that's a very important aspect. Besides Zebu Embryo to providing all of the services that we mentioned here, the three of us, especially the part of the embryos, something that is interesting is that we would like to make very clear for all of you is the Zebu Embryo Lab is within Zebu Embryo, not only to provide and to create our embryos. So we have a certification in here, in Minas and in Brazil, in Uberaba, to have to be a producer and commercializer of trader of embryos, but we have the same certification in the Zebu Embryo Lab to provide services that to manufacture or to produce embryos for our customers, regardless of the animals being within our property or not. And we can receive technicians of every property and to industrialize and to provide the services for within this area. And the main advantage that we have is that for this embryo that is created within our lab of the Zebu Embryo Lab can also be exported. But for exports, the donors have to be within the farm, right? Yes. And we have to have those protocols, and embryos are not just something that you sell a piece of paper or a pen. Embryo is a whole project. It's a trajectory. It's a path that you have to know. You have to know where to get to. And the cows here in Brazil don't have to be within Zebu Embryo. They just have to be within. We can use the lab, and we can also deal with exports, something that people are looking. It's the whole world wants our genetic so that it can be imported and we can export from here, and the whole world is interested in our genetic materials. So the cattle breeders from many different breeds, they want to ask us questions, and we have to provide answers so that the embryo can get to a country that is outside here, abroad. They have to be within a center that is certified and accredited for exports as well. And this is our goal. Not only the cow has to be within this area, but the lab should be within it. And we understand that this is another service and focusing that our main point is to provide a service. And we're here ready to provide support and in the zootechnician and the technical and administrative part as well. We're all ready to help you. It is a lot of hard work, right, Natalia? Yes, right, but we're ready to do it.
Yes. And something that I wanted to mention to our international public as well is that you should not hesitate to ask your questions for us because the protocols are different for each one of the countries and the way to work is different as well. So, oh, I am in country X and I don't know what to do. So, please send us an email. Please talk to us anywhere that you want to. If you are in Uberaba, you can go there personally and talk to us. And we designed the project for that person because the structure is ready and we want to provide the best service for each one of the projects that are provided to us. So we cannot do everything like a recipe because it's not a recipe. It's personalized, it's customized to everyone, nationally and internationally. And we can help you and provide service in the best way possible according to your needs, your characteristics, and what you want. So we really want to help you in the best way possible.
Something important that Natalia mentioned at the beginning, we can say here, is in order for this embryo to be exported or traded, since Uberaba is the center of the cattle Zebu genetic in the world and in Brazil, we can help that person that might have a demand to export, we might help them. We can help them to prepare these animals to be bred, and such as a dairy cow in a farm that is far from here. And from here, we can do this. For example, we have clients from Ceará, which is my state, and the state I'm from, and from Goiânia, and from even other countries that are here producing their embryos, and from here we are going to export to other customers. And here, if you are when you are in Expogenetics, you can see all of the options. You can acquire genetic cow, and you don't have to take this cow to your country. We are gonna handle it, and we're gonna raise it, and if it's a dairy cow, we will improve so we can have an aggregated value in its embryo, so you can take this embryo to your property or to your country, so you can start trading it or to trade it nationally, domestically. So that is a service that we have, that we provide within the farm. We basically live within the farm, and we have this service that is ready to be made. And administratively, we are here to solve the problem of this client.
And the good part about that is that you, client, you're going to have everything in one place. In Zebu Embryo, you can lodge your animal there, and we can you can send the
We
zostro, and we can
industrialize it
industrialize that in the laboratory and reproduce the
and
embryo
we
and take
enable
it
it,
back to
right?
you, and we accredit you. And at the end of the day, we have a registration that is already done, and you have an entire work that we can do for you, and you can do that without feeling having any problems because we can do everything for you. We are ready to do the complete work for you.
Yeah, I think that the most important and what we would like to convey is, please, any friend or customer that is interested in how to multiply or to commercialize a genetic material, whether it's semen or embryo, look for us so we can answer your questions, because these interconnections of protocols in between countries, especially countries from Latin America, that are much more common. But we do have Africa and India too that's looking for. China might start looking for it as well. So there are many countries that are interested or are after our zebu genetic material. Brazilians made do their homework, and by creating this amazing cattle, the zebu cattle. Answer your questions with us. Ask us first. So, because there are some people who don't really know what they're saying or what they're talking about, because we're focusing on this, and this kind of knowledge we can convey and give you on how to get this commercialization and this production and the export of this genetic material, which is really important, right? So we're here ready to help you with both in the zootechnics area and the management, administrative,
Yes,
protocol,
and
sanitary,
please
whatever it
really
is.
talk to us, ask your questions during the Expogenetics, after the Expogenetics, in our social media, because we are going to give you special attention in your case and evaluate case by case, like we have mentioned. We do that project by project according to your needs.
And it's always good because we're here in this amazing studio made by ABCZ. But do visit us, meet us in person. Thank God the situation is not so bad now in the pandemics now and pandemic. So visit us. Try to understand our goal, our project, and to we would love to help you and to together with you design this project.
E o
Zebuembryo.com
correo
and at Zebuembryo wherever in all
contato@zebuembrio.com.
social
Estamos a su
medias.
disposición para atenderle a usted.
Well, easy. On behalf of Zebu Embryo, I'd like to thank you, in especially who is the responsible for the international part of ABCZ with the flag of Brazilian cattle. I think it's amazing the work you have been doing since the joining of ABCZ and the Brazilian cattle and Apex as well, and the competence that you have of bringing us together with the international market. And here in this fair, that we have this amazing stand that we have, and to receive our visitors, and always with open arms. We're partners of ABCZ, and that in my company for over 20 years and my partners for over 40 years, right? And one of the first things that Zebu Embrews did was to become a partner of Brazilian cattle. We are really happy and we're very proud to be part
Of
of this
the
international
Zebu
branch
race
of
here.
the
We
Zebu
are
Embryo in
proud of you
Brazil.
to have Zebu Embryo and to have people that are committed, like your team, dedicated, professional, that really make our work of trade information and to help the different people from all over the world to become more and more satisfactory, happy, and really it makes us really happy inside to be able to open possibilities to companies that work in this way and to trust our Zebu race to the tropical world. So we thank you so much for how much you trust in our work, for the partnership that we have, and to really offer to the entire world, to our country, a lot of quality, a lot of security. So I wish you all a lot of success. Thank you so much, Natalia, for participating for Powerade. Thank you, Karine, for being here with us. Karine is my partner, okay? She works with me for us to be able to open this health security protocols as much as we can. And it's a great fight, right? Plauto, very thank you so much. Zebu Embryo, thank you so much. And we thank you who is in your house but is here with us participating in our Expo Genetics. And now it's live again and in person. And if you are watching from home, be here with us next year. It's great to see you. And please stay here with us because the lives from Brazilian cattle are going to remain in the entire week because this is the best of what we do in our Brazilian cattle projects. You're always welcome to our house, the Zebu home. Receive our hug. We'll see each other soon. Bye bye.
Conosco, porque as lives do Brazilian Quero seguem por toda a semana, compartilhando com vocês o que há de melhor das empresas que participam do nosso projeto internacional Brazilian Quero. Você é sempre muito bem-vindo aqui à nossa casa, a Casa do Zebu. Receba o nosso abraço. Nos vemos. Até mais. Tchau, tchau.
Hello! How good it is to know that you are participating here with us in our lives. Let me tell you something. This live is very important, not only for you guys, but for me, because today we're bringing people here to talk about FAZU. And FAZU is nothing more than my home, the school where I was graduate in and that I gave class in. And I have enormous pleasure to show you anywhere that you are to your son or any other young person who wants to graduate themselves and educate themselves and be a professional in this area of cattle raising that can use this knowledge in their favor. So I have a lot of care. And now we're going to have the live from Fazul so that you can have a world of opportunities that Fazul offers for you to be able to work in this area. So with us, we have Gustavo Rodriguez, Manager of Marketing. Hello, Gustavo, welcome. And Diego Fazo, who is the Academic Coordinator, Shaziemi, who
Hi,
is the
good, Hisi.
Director. Is a pleasure for me to receive
Very
you all
well.
here today. And of course, that this live is in my heart. And I am so proud to say that the entire world, that I am a person that came from Brazil. So we can take agro and our cattle raising to the world. And this is definitely because of Fazul. And with my heart full of love, that I leave the floor to you so that I can tell us what Fazul offers for these students and also for the post graduation for professionals all around the world that have the interest to make the capacity building and to continue their education.
We are the ones who thank you from Favazul. It's a great satisfaction to be once again to be part of Expogenetica, and we're also
So now the live is
thank you very
yours.
much.
A lot of success.
Thank you, Isi. Hi, how are you doing? Welcome to the live of FAZU, the educational institution that is the arm of ABCZ. Faculdade Associada de Uberaba was born here in the world capital of Cebu and with the teaching of agrarian sciences. It's nice to meet you. I'm Gustavo Rodrigues. And I'm Diego Fragas. Welcome to this live of Azul in Expogenetica. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And in the streaming, the live streamed is we're going to talk about everything in Fazul that was created in 1975 by ABCZ. And today it shows everyone the courses of graduation and post-graduation courses that are offered. And besides this, discounts in these courses and the possibilities of the students that study in FAZU, that in partnership with ABCZ, they are amazing. Our students are interns in the largest fairs in the world, such as Expogenetica and Expo Zebu. And the possibility for the professional activities has been more and more relevant due to the change in management that by Fazul went through by the last years. It's true, Gustavo, and now that we're here with you by sharing with you, Fazul has been going through a very changed framework structure, academic, structural, and in a way that today, what we have here today is a new Fazul that it's even more active and more productive and sustainable. And here with us at the studio to talk about of the new stage of Fazul is our executive director, Zélio Vieira, and he's going to tell us what is the situation with Fazul. Welcome here, Zélio. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to talk about Fazul. It's really it's a pleasure to talk about what we like and we understand, which makes us more and more promising and and we can compete in the workforce. This is one of the topics that we defined in the moment of restructuring at the beginning of the pandemic, was to direct the school and to bring the school for a movement of modernization, and we wanted to bring not just competitiveness, but also for the students, such as EC mentioned very clearly, and she studied there. She studied for the whole time there, and she went to the workforce after that. We're focusing on the workforce. That was the first movement also, and other administrative issues that we wanted to mention, such as adjustments and people at the right place, processes, correction of processes, and we updated the school. And starting then, we are presenting the world, I mean, introducing Fazoo to the world, and not just to Brazil, but to the world. Its portfolio, its graduation portfolio, post graduation, testing fields, and the area, and that's it. At the end, that we're going to make our former students, our alumni, a person that will, as we usually say, that it gave us their brain to be educated, you know. So after being restructured in Fazoo, you as an administrator and you're moving these processes in the college, how do you see today the positioning of Fazoo? So over 2022, with with coming with COVID, and when it's the situation getting more common, more calm, we started going back to fair, and we realized what people already know. They are looking for, and they are trying to get more interested in what Fazoo has in its portfolio. What is the differential in its school, in this college? It's not just 186 hectares within the city. The people who are building that moment, the people who were part in this vanguard, what do we have there? And these processes, and I've been following the movements and also carrying out the networking, right? So we can demystify, because we need more and more, not just to bring it to young people, but for people who want to come to the agro or agri area. It's an extreme zealous environment with this individual, very careful also. I've been asking and inviting other partners, come if you've never had dirt in your fingernails. So that's the best office, right? It's an outdoor office. So we understand Fazoo in an area, in the productive area, and not only the specificity of each course, but what is part of this productive chain, the supply chain, and that's what Fazoo has to be connected to when you go through the app and you understand the stocks of pricing of products and animals, and you say, well, that is a very quick movement, and our student has to be there and understanding what is the movement. You cannot just think about the process without thinking about the management. You have to manage your career, you have to manage that process, and it as a goal, as an education. Of course, as you mentioned here, in August, Fazoo is 47 years after the foundation, and we see the update and the processes within the institutions, the implementation of the academic proposals as well that have been discussed through with the entire team of collaborators and also our associates and professors there. What do you see for the future? What are the factors that are going to contribute for Fazoo to remain relevant in the next years? We have already identified that Fazoo is 47th anniversary, right? And very well, you know, in its situation, right? Because people who are inside that and they are present, it's more and more common for us to prepare all the educators, right? Everyone in this, all of the associates are part of this processing. We have to change lives and change places. We have to change the environment as well. And to keep what is romantic, right? And I say, you know what? Conservation or to maintain is to look ahead what you can improve with Fazoo. So Fazoo has the goal and to change and transform the lives of people around the world. So we are the best university in agricultural techniques in America, right? And that's what we want to work with. We want to work with this team. So that is, we have to change. We can change things, but they're just small adjustments that we can do. And because we already put the school in its trajectory, it's already identified what wants to do, and what else do we want to do? That's the perspective. We want to bring technology, we want to bring innovation to the classroom and to leverage the FASU of the future, right, Célio? Célio, we know the importance of the differentiated education of our students and alumni, and companies within this situation, they have the example of ABCZ, the partnership with ABCZ. It's one of the largest examples of success. How can you define our relationship between ABCZ and I like to say that the fact that we have instituted or not, or founded or established, it did create relationships and bonds. ABCZ, it's a differentiated partner, right? And especially after you open the field and you have internship and you provide services and you absorb the workforce coming from this institution. It's a lot more than being one of the founders, as being a partner as well, to be part of the directory and the board of. And we observe this movement. What we want to see now is to amplify or to broaden to the associates of a BCZ for them to come, for you to come and know and bring inside FASU this professional, this young person, and maybe not so young, right? Because we have students that are not that young. And so we can educate them and we can give them a good education so they can look outward. And that's the step. And the BCZ definitely is. We are within the capital of Cebu, and it's definitely a promising environment for us to leverage this movement to the rest of the world. Yes, that's our feeling, right? And that's what we live, and that's what we pass or convey to our students and our business associates as well. Since you're already here, let's check a video with a panorama over the evolution of FASU in the next few years. FASU, Faculdades Associadas de Uberaba, was founded in 1975 by ABCZ as part of the mission of the institution to promote development of agribusiness in Brazil, to feed the world and feed Brazil and the world. And over its 46 years of existence, it has been fulfilling this mission wholesomely, with a structure that is an international reference in agrarian sciences and professors that are recognized inside and outside the country. FASU brings the market to professionals that are ready and competitive to face the challenges of a sector that is the main pillar of sustainment of the Brazilian economy. And with courses of graduation and post-graduation courses that are completely connected with the most advanced concepts and in technological innovations for the field, FASU graduates and educates professionals that make the difference in the companies where they work, contributing with the protagonism and for the development of agribusiness in Brazil. And the development doesn't stop there. In 2020, ABCZ hired a new CEO under the coordination of the board, the current board, to command or to coordinate FASU. It's a professional with 21 years of experience in higher education, has been changing and restructuring the academic and administrative structure of the institution. And even in such a hard times of the pandemic, the results that have been very expressive are there for everyone to see. In the crisis, we created and we grew. Our income grew 33%. The expenses were reduced in 11%. Investments that have never been seen with over 1,700,000%, even in times that are really challenging. This institution started making more money and spending less, which shows a very good economic performance. Thanks to the academic restructuring and the offer of new options of specializations in the field, the number of students went up in 2021. In graduation, the number grew 25%. In post-graduation, it grew 960%, which is an amazing number. All of it in just 2 years. The revitalization of the campus and the physical infrastructure and academic and administrative and in the productive sectors of the school also had many projects bringing a lot of benefits that are felt throughout the institution. This moment of a great challenge is a moment of great plans. It's a moment that you know what is challenging you and you accept this challenge in this new journey. That's what we did in FAZU. We carried out an analysis very quickly that we had what we had available, all of the problems and the difficulties and the efficiencies that it had. Of course, there are many, and naturally, there were a lot of changes and turnover, and especially not only the renovation, but also the acquisition of new equipment and new courses so that we could leverage the situation. We realized a revitalization that impacts directly the quality of our practices and academic practices in the many different sectors of FAZU. The quality of the graduation courses and specialization in post-graduation in FAZU are known worldwide, and they made a difference not only in my professional life but in my career as well. Here we have been we have experience with many big partners of FAZU. After 46 years of FAZU, it continues innovating, developing new technologies in the field that is ever more modern. I chose FAZU due to its being a reference nationally and internationally in agrarian census. I came from from Bolivia, and here we have many opportunities for big fairs and events. I'm sure that the practical lessons are of an excellent differential in my education. I'm very proud to be graduated here because all of my basis in education was found here, and it's still very important for me. Today I'm recording this video, and I'm very happy. After 2 years of a lot of work and effort, even during the pandemic, in the crisis we reinvented ourselves and we managed to put FAZU in a new standard. We have a new CEO that started its management at the very beginning, and we changed a lot, and we created a lot of benefits and changes for the benefit of the college, and it's creating a new dimension for the students, and also FAZU has a new visibility. We're moving forward and prospering with new courses, and we're working with a lot of work and hard work and the dynamism with people that are engaged with the college. And I'd like to congratulate Célio, and I'd like to congratulate all the business associates and managers of FAZU because now there was a huge change and a brilliant change performed by a CEO. And during crisis, we managed to overcome. It's with a lot of pride that we take care of FAZU. FAZU, 46 years of innovation and development of agribusiness. It's really good, right, for us to see FAZU. It's so good and well maintained, but it's part of the mission of FAZU, this commitment with the education of professionals of excellence. And we know that that goes through the graduation courses of FAZU, our courses of a longer time, the isotechnic and agronomy engineering prepare the students and with excellence, with a lot of innovation within the tropical agronomy. And especially talking about zootechnic, that was a first course of FAZU, one of the first ones in FAZU, and one of the most famous with animal technology. We have around 4,500 students that are alumni, and in many other countries, and 800 of them are foreigners. And we have a lot of international partners where we have foreign students, Bolivian, from Mexico, and many other places from Latin America that come to get this excellence of education of excellence right here. And that is really good. And that brings us a certification or an accreditation that we're in the right path. That is the first major step that we take. And the second one we have already mentioned is to look ahead and look at the needs of each profession to know what the impact is and what we need to interact with. That's our main concern and the daily concern that we have, and that's part of this movement that we are on. And not only because of the physical restructuring of the institution, but also the renovation and the changing the academic curriculum, also always looking ahead as we usually do, analyzing the curriculum and the schedule and each subject, and to know what's the interaction between the other subjects, and to know why is it important in concerning the market. And we have to move forward because technology is moving forward, and that's very gratifying and rewarding. And especially in the context that we are participating in this event, Expogenetica or Expogenetics, that brings an audience from not only Brazil but from around the world. The professional that is graduated in zootechnic has a very broad education. It can help with nutrition, well-being of the animal, especially when it comes to genetic improvement and also reproduction and breeding. And it's the target of this fair, and the agronomist engineer also works with preparing the soil and in the handling also, and the conduction of the main crops here, not only in Brazil, but in other countries around the world. And we've already mentioned, and we have alumni spread throughout the world. And not only these major courses, we also have a shorter time graduations, and we have 2 graduation courses in technology. One that is connected to the new technologies in the field, which is called agrocomputing, where the professional will be ready to work with systems of information, programming languages, and in terms of machines. And also, we also have the management of agribusiness, so that is connected to processes and business and people and all of the productive change that's to take only 2.5 years, right? And there is another one that is on the line, right? Yes, administration with rural emphasis. It's very important for the administrator or the manager to understand the chain, the supply chain, and the productive process. It's very important. And you who are going to be in Uberaba, we'll be here in Uberaba. You can go to Fazu. We have open gates. We literally have open gates. And that's what we want. We want you to see it. We want to look at it maybe in the future, because so people can. There's a very list in and also it's hard to go to the university. It's usually to come here, right? And come here and understand what's the purpose, the promising environment. It's a very interesting environment. Yes, it's true, right? Yeah, especially within the fair that we have the topic of the power of knowledge, the power of information as well, which is the motto of Expogenetica this year. It's important to stress that our courses are more and more relevant and updated, talking about cattle raising 4.0 and very, very relevant topics so that the student can talk about it, especially what I mentioned, because when the student comes here and when you talk about new courses and updating of the courses, we're looking at what the market needs, sustainable systems, productive systems that involve technology, right? And now we're talking about Fazu, and Fazu is definitely a reference in agribusiness as being the university or college that is a reference in international market. We're going to see a video prepared by the country duo of Leo and Rafael to show the moment of the Fazu that we have here, Fazu of Agrárias.
Meus amigos me perguntaram lá na escola quando eu cresci, o que eu vou ser. Eu falei que eu sou formada na pecuária, o menino da pecuária.
De norte a sul tem aluno da Fazu movimentando a parada. Não é à toa que a Fazu é referência em ciências agrárias. Agricultura, pecuária, tecnologias e gestão como nunca se viu. Vem ter uma experiência de excelência na melhor faculdade agro do Brasil. A Fazu das Agrárias não para. Vem pra Fazu, quadro dá dinheiro. A Fazu das Agrárias não para. Aqui tem aula prática o ano inteiro. A Fazu das Agrárias não para. Vem pra Fazu, quadro dá dinheiro. A Fazu das Agrárias não para. Aqui tem aula prática o ano inteiro. A Fazu das Agrárias melhor, disparada. Chama! Agricultura, pecuária, tecnologias e gestão como nunca se viu. Vem ter uma experiência de excelência na melhor faculdade agro do Brasil. A Faso das Agrárias não para. Vem pra Faso que o agro dá dinheiro. A Faso das Agrárias não para. Aqui tem aula prática o ano inteiro. A Faso das Agrárias não para. Vem pra Faso que o agro dá dinheiro. A Faso das Agrárias não para. Aqui tem aula prática o ano inteiro. A Faso das Agrárias. Vem pra melhor faculdade agro. Acesse o site fazu.br e se inscreva no vestibular
Well,
Fazu.
and besides the graduation courses, FAZU has established itself as an educator of specialists, and both in management, agriculture, and cattle raising. And all of the cattle breeders that are wanted to specialize, they can study in many different areas. They can in feeding and zootechnic of precision and handling of soils and in genetic improvement of bovines. And looking at the situation here, we have the courses of post-graduations and both in person and online. Here in FAZU, we're inviting you to visit our campus and to know the other options in our structure as well for you who is visiting the fair. Definitely, Gustavo. And to contribute, in order to contribute to this education of excellence, both in graduation and post-graduation, FAZU has been positioning in the last few years as a business school, opening its doors for companies who look at FAZU trying to get an accreditation and a certification of an excellence. Yes, it's right, Célio. Yes, that's one of the points that we wanted to focus on to bring so that the student will have a real time new technologies, new experiments, and FAZU to be able to have this exchange of experience. And every month we're bringing new stakeholders, and we have a lab, right, and of caterpillars, right, because we do need to improve the environment. We have to understand it, and that's what the business school FAZU is looking at. So, and especially because it's in a structure of 186 hectares, which is an urban farm within a city, and an innovation center as well that enables the development of these projects with the companies, right? Yes, now, and a person who can tell us one of the opportunities that FAZU has as a business school to agribusiness is Professor Lívia Magalhães, our project coordinator.
Hello, my name is Lívia Magalhães. I am the current project coordinator here in FAZU, and I'm going to comment a little bit about our School of Businesses in Agro. And FAZU has opened its doors to partnerships worldwide, thinking that our academic body is already very good. We have PhDs, we have students that are engaged in doing internships, a farm school that is full of options for everyone to do trials, to do rehearsals with everything that we have. And this initiative has made this really a school of businesses to incorporate that in the school so that the students can live in the practice what is the market of agribusiness. So now we have partnerships with different irrigation companies, nutrition companies, horticulture, and also all of the technical and scientific knowledge that we have. And how does this partnership take place? If you are a producer, if you are someone from the farm, if you have any questions, you have to make a development type of chain or a consultancy in each area, or companies that want to do a trial in a specific area, they can do that. They can test the pesticides, they can increase their visibility within our alumni corpus and take that to different areas, to the ones that want to do scientific events. All of that can be done in FAZU. You can enter in contact with us and we can follow up on that, how this partnership can
Great, her
take place.
explanation, right, from Professor Arlini. Well, we know that the zebu meat and milk are part of Brazilian, and that's why the milking sector of Fazul is attracting a lot of companies that innovate and develop technologies so that they, in these sectors, they can test their products and validate their products within our structure and with our professions to generate technology that is going to be used by you, the cattle breeders. And Professor Aline is going to explain about here this.
Here in the milk sector is where we have three important projects with partnerships with different companies. We have the Girolando race technology where we are guiding all of our animals to this Girolando creators, and we do this technical cooperation where the technicians of Girolando come to the sector and they direct the different matings so that we can work with the genetic improvement of this cattle. And here we have the pasture and also the other projects that are really important that are taking place and that are referenced in the irrigation area where we're going to have the use of this irrigated pasture with all of the different biostimulators to improve this nutrition of the forage. And here, all of that improving as a stage for the students to understand the technology to
Well,
be
we
more
know
competitive.
what the work that ABCZ is carrying out with cattle breeders from Brazil, and it's a fundamental role in the development and the evolution of our zebu herd in Brazil. And the zootechnic tests that are being carried out have been contributing with expressively for the national cattle breeders. And that's one of the branches that we have. We talk about in zootechnic that we work with a bull, from the bull to the bee, and it's more representative. Let's call it a legacy that Fabzu absorbed. And zootechnic assistance is going very well, and we are trying to increase it to attract other companies that want to test products. And more and more it's we say, you know what, we have this new student and they are more and more interested in knowing what is going on. It's part of the leadership that our students want to have in their education. So it's not, they're not only reactive but proactive. So we want to take these tests. And in 2022, right, we are concluding this here in August. A good lot of 178 animals that arrived. It's a very promising, really, for the new technologies and the new handling as well, for what is expected of the genetic of these animals. And especially you who are watching us during Expogenetics, go through Fazul and look at the structure that we have, where we have the Penache test and all the that is available to other cattle breeders that want to test these products. Within the structure that we have here, it's a very good opportunity for everyone who wants to look for the validations and certifications, right, Gustavo? Yeah, to tell us a little bit about this structure that is ready for companies and cattle breeders to do the test with these herds. We're going to have a video with Professor Juliana Pascal, the coordinator of a zootechnic area in the university.
Hello, my name is Juliana Pascual. I am the project coordinator for the zootechnician projects, and I'm going to present to you the structure of performance and some works that we have been accomplishing here. So come with me.
Não para, vem pra faz o quadro dá dinheiro, a faz o das agrárias. Não para, aqui tem aula prática o ano inteiro, a faz o das agrárias.
We have 9 confinement pens that are equipped with intergados, automated throws. And within each pen, we have automated drinkers associated with the animal's body weighing scale. With all these equipments, we can measure daily the consumption and the average daily gain of these animals for the calculation of the various efficiency indexes, such as the gross feed efficiency, feed conversion, and CAR, which is the residual feed consumption. And we are currently also working with the consumption and residual gain. It is the index that we know as CGR. Our confinement structure is capable of housing up to 200 animals, and at the end of the evaluation test of these animals, according to the feed efficiency index, which is the residual food consumption, other procedures are carried out here on our school farm, such as carcass ultrasound, andrological examination, and the whole part of the toilet for the preparation of these animals that are going for auction. We have just finished the sixth edition of the performance and feed efficiency test, which is one of the steps of the integrated into the PNAT, which is the program of evaluating young bulls of the ABCZ program. We work with in this edition with the five zebu breeds: the Nelore, the Brahma, the Tabapuã, Efficiency Cindy, and the Guzerá, with the objective of identifying the most efficient animal through the food efficiency index, and independently from the index chosen. The feed efficiency is a selection parameter that is a reality that has been used by the national livestock, and FASU is prepared to meet the demand of the breeders, associations, and this new journey. Our modern structure, combined with a qualified faculty, establishes partnerships with private companies in the area of the animal nutrition for scientific validation and project testing. In addition to the automated confinement, we also have a newly built structure in the traditional confinement model, which has the capacity to house more than 100 animals. We are testing strategic vitamin K supplementation and the prepubertal heifers, where in the first phase, and we are collecting data of the consumption and feed efficiency of these animals. In the second phase, these animals will undergo a reproductive evaluation after the ATF protocol, and the performance control trials generate reliable data that can be used for the promotion, growth, and credibility of the
Well,
companies.
besides the projects connected to agribusiness, we know the importance of many areas that are connected to the Ministry of Agriculture, that for the companies to test their products and to put in the market options that are more and more safe, especially in the school farm. We have these areas that are accredited, right? Yes, we just received that, and we're just waiting for 4.5 hectares of the control, and Professor Diego is going to talk about it. It's an area that is that his expertise, and once again we want to near the student to what is going on, and it's a differentiated area, right? And it's an area where the student is. We want every modernization, and it's an appeal for the student to know, so that FASU is a business school of the agrarian sciences, right? Yes, let's watch it. A video with Professor Diego talking about the areas of FASU. As part of these transformations and changes that took place in FASU, one that is very relevant in the connected to business oriented is the accreditation of an area of 5 hectares within FASU for testing new products, especially pesticides, right, that are an important part of the sales of agricultural outputs and products. And FASU is open to the partnership with companies that want to test these products, and that in areas that are accredited. So this accreditation is very important for us to make academia, to get academia closer to the companies and in the field, and involving our students and our professors in the assessment of these new technologies. Besides the infrastructure that we're making available within this farm for the experiments, we also have classrooms that are completely equipped with the infrastructure that is necessary for these companies that look FASU to find condition that is necessary for these trials and these tests, and to use it as a showcase of the results for the rest of the country. So our structure here that is made with safety equipment with adequate infrastructure, these companies will be able to test their products in a very safe manner and environment and with all of the quality that is expected, and it's made available by Fazul. So, if you're an entrepreneur that has a diversity of products that wants to launch them in the market, and if you're looking for a place that is accredited for the validation of this technology, come to Fazoo, get to know this place and what we have to offer for these companies that look for the testing and validation of their pesticides in the field, right? So, this is an invitation for you. Well, everyone, you had the opportunity to watch all of the initiatives and proposals that Fazoo has been adopting to become this reference and as a business school. And that's only possible due to the work, our technique, and our body of professors that we have in Fazoo. We have a team of Fazoo of masters and doctors in their specialties and fields, and that are available for you, business owners. That so you want to bring your products to be validated and your technology. And these professionals are also available for consultancies. That might be necessary if the market needs this. This is the perfect combination between academia and the work market and the market. So, since we're here in Expogenetics, we want to highlight and emphasize that we're all available with our professionals and we want you to come to our campus and anything that we might contribute to our company or agricultural property. And it's important to highlight Fazoo Online in Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and all the technical knowledge and content that we post and we publish within our mission to enable professionals and educate them. Follow our social networks and social media, Fazoo Online, right? Finalizing Célio. Okay, yes, complementing that, we're going to have a 360 tour for people who are not here. You'll be able to see the farm. But if you can come here, study here, believe in what we do because it is true and it's a very good and excellent academic education that you can get. Let's go ahead, enjoy Expogenetics, and every time we say here, and then you can say, oh, we remember something else here. We have so many things that we can offer, and if we actually need a script to go over this, but it's good, right? Our team is very well in tune and come to Fazoo and study here. So that is Fazoo, right? For 47 years, contributing with the education of the best professionals in agrarian sciences in Latin America. Thank you very much, Expogenetics, for the space, and we thank you, and we wait for you here at Expo and at Fazoo.
You have no idea how proud I am to hear from you in Fazul. After all, I have to tell you that I was graduated in Fazul, and I need to tell you one more thing. I was graduated in an area that not many women acted in the agribusiness. So having this support and this incentive, this motivation and this education that I have received in Fazul is what motivated me to move forward, because it was a huge challenge for me to conquer space throughout this 23 years of work that I have. And for 11 years, I have acted in the genetic improvement in this house. And then I went to marketing, and for 10 years, I've been in the international management. Like I said in the beginning, it all started with the basis that I have received in Fazul. So I feel extremely proud and happy to see how Fazul is prosperous and how much you guys are allowing women, men, everyone that has an interest in becoming a more knowledgeable in the agribusiness can be successful and grow, and to conquer their space through what is offered in Fazu. So indeed, receive my care and my hug, and Fazu is my home. And I always say that to you and to the world because I have this huge love as an alumni, as a former professor, and as someone that belongs to Fazul indeed. So thank you so much. I hope that you are more and more successful and that Fazul can educate more and more professionals that can help us to produce food with a lot of quality to not only Brazil but the world and the tropical countries so that we can produce in this way. We need professionals that are educated and that dedicate themselves to that. And those are the professionals that leave Fazul nowadays. So thank you so much. I would like to thank you and end this live with the image that really touches my heart, which are the alumni and students of Fazul greeting all of you that are watching our live today. So, thank you so much. We see each other next time. And you, students, thank you so much for everything.
Para. Aqui tem aula prática o ano inteiro, a Faso das Agrárias.
Hello, my name is Isi Garbellini, and I'll tell you what. You are my guest to participate together with me of this huge challenge because we here don't know anything about podcasts, but I'm in front of this camera to bring to you the behind the scenes of the works of our entity, of our house, the work carried out by Casa do Zebu. And to start this challenge, of course, today we should have here with us two very special people that left their superintendency and came here as Superman to tell us a little bit more about the work they have developed for breeding and genetic improvement. So, to discuss that, I have here with me today Luiz Antonio Josequian, who is the superintendent of animal breeding. But here today, he is a grandfather. Welcome, Luiz. Thank you, Isi. It's very good to be here. Yeah, I'm a recent grandfather. It's my first grandchild. Oh, that's great. We are very happy. And with us, we have also Henrique Ventura. Henrique Ventura is part of our team, has been part of our team for a long time, working as a researcher, innovator, and bringing the most important novelties in terms of genetic improvement. Thank you, Henrique, for bringing so much technology to our lives. I think, thank you. I think it's very good to have an initiative like this so that we can discuss what we do on the day to day in our work. Guys, I will tell you that both of them accepted this challenge. Imagine, I don't even know what to do a podcast. They asked me, what is the format? What are we going to do? And I said, I don't know. I have no idea what's happening here. But thank you for embracing this challenge with us. What we want is to to discuss animal breeding and show that it's been developed by people who love this kind of work. Yes, the genetic improvement or breeding can be part of just a chat. We don't have to give like a scientific lecture. Yes, we could discuss that even having some wine over some wine, right? I have to tell you guys, my favorite drink, and Josequian also, is wine. So, at any time with any topic, we will be very happy to discuss it over a bottle of wine. I think next time I will implement that. And I'll tell you something else. Henrique, I thought that he was very formal at first. If I call him, tell him to do something a bit outside the box, but he just got very happy and he really liked to do this experiment with us. So let's talk a little bit. Talk about your granddaughter and how is that been going? Yeah, her name is Olivia. She's 3 months old. She turned 3 months in the last Tuesday. Well, she was born with a lot of hair. Oh, that's a genetic improvement in practice, right? Yes, it is. And it's very touching to see the daughter of your daughter. I am delighted. Oh, guys, this podcast we have to save and one day in the future show Olivia. Look, your grandpa was there talking to us, when you're 3 months old. It's also good, and I can say that very proud. It's very important to have such a master, such an expert working with us every day because we can learn with people. We should learn from people who can give the example. Yes, we learn a lot with him. We exchange a lot of information and experience. Yes, it's like a gift that life brings us. Oh, you guys are too kind. Guys, you don't know. He was my teacher. I used to sit in the back of the classroom, and sometimes I was listening to him and said, "Oh, this is interesting." And other times I was like, "I don't understand anything he's saying." Well, yeah, there is a proverb that says that the pupil should become better than the master, right? And you are here better than me. And oh no, of course not. I am 100% sure that at most I have the guts to face the camera. That's it. But anyway, so to start having this chit chat, our topic today is talking a little bit of the behind the scenes of animal breeding. And I would like you to tell us a bit of about when you started thinking, I'm going to work with genetic improvement in ABCZ. How was that? What did you think? Do you remember what you thought at the time when you made that decision? I believe that you wouldn't see so far ahead in the future, but what was going through your mind when you made that decision? Well, it is funny. Genetics, I've always had since I was in high school when I had the first genetics class, when I was first introduced to this subject, I was very intrigued. And when I was younger, me and a friend of mine, we started some classes, for students who needed tutoring. And this friend of mine and I were giving biology classes. When was that? Well, I don't know exactly. I would have to do the math, but it was last millennium. But anyway, uh, we started doing that, teaching biology, but I never actually thought that I was going to work specifically in genetics. I had a lot of admiration for Mendel, for genetics, for everything, but I didn't think I was going to work with that. At university, however, I did my work for the conclusion of the course in genetics. Oh, but it kind of looks like you were reluctant to admit that this was your area. I said, yeah, right, I think so. But I was actually very lucky because I came to ABCZ. I was an intern, okay? I did my internship at ABCZ. My internship finished, but then I continued on. At that time, these things could happen. Yes, in the past it was a little bit more relaxed, right? Yeah, today there are so many hindrances for everything. Now, let me ask, if it was not for the internship, would you have met me? No. I think one of the most important things that we have in our international context is this phase of internship is essential for learning and for people to get to know us. Sometimes I think back and I think when I was working in my internship, and I actually had a lot of fights, but people recognized me. Yeah, those were the good old days. But still, anyway, I I was taking this internship and I came to ABCZ to deliver a few communications, a few papers, and the person told me that the next day there would be a context for technician in this for ABCZ, and I decided to apply, and I was accepted, and I started to work with this wonderful world of Zebu selection. So far, I didn't know about any of that, about the goals, and things took on from there. I had the opportunity of participating in the mating, and then also the more scientific part. When Henrique arrived with his team, they brought things to a whole new level, which means I actually participated of the whole evolution. But now, Henrique, you should talk more about that. But this is just like the summer. That's how I got to ABCZ. Henrique, I have to tell you that I remember exactly when you got here. So it's been a while, right? Yes. Yes, it seems like it was yesterday sometimes. The sensation that I have is that I remember perfectly well when I came to this area of international. It was at the time that you joined Casa do Zebu. And look at this guy and I said, like, wow, he looks so smart. And I was right. I was absolutely right. Tell us, how did were you invited to go to ABCZ? What happened? What was going through your mind? A lot of things were going through my mind. I'm not that young, right? And it was 22 years ago. I was at a store of agricultural and livestock raising products, and I saw a publication from with a lot of different breeds of cattle. I liked it very much, and I took it and started reading, and I started reading about genetic improvement, genetic value, depths, and I thought, well, I think I want to be the guy who does that, who works behind this. So at that time I was joining university. So I went to the University of Rio de Janeiro and I graduated in zootechnics. And I was thinking from day one to work with genetics. Oh, from day one you entered university knowing that you wanted to deal with genetics. Yes, I did. I wanted to be a breeder. I wanted everything to work out so that I could be a breeder from the get go. That was my goal. And I graduated and I took a master's degree in animal breeding in Viçosa. And then I did a postdoc in Bagé. That's when I got this opportunity. There was a placement for people with my profile, and my guidance teacher at the doctorate recommended me. So, oh, that's the context then. Yeah, and then he embraced the huge challenge. It was the first time that we were going to do this kind of evaluation. We we did have the collaboration of consultants such as Fabiano, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but also Dr. Fernando, Dr. Zé Aurélio Garcia. Those were the consultants. But who actually propelled the process was Henrique. It was a huge challenge, a huge professional challenge. Yes, create this structure from ground zero. It's amazing. And bringing this context of actually valuing this work and having this work acknowledged, it's very important. I remember at the time that the technicians in the farms, they demanded that. They said, they used to say, we need to deliver a product at the farm and we need to say, okay, this is ABCZ who does the genetic evaluation, for example. So the technicians in the farms, they had this demand, and I never forget when Jose came to me and said, can we do this in a ABCZ? And I thought, yes, we do. And so he said, so we need a bit of a project here. We have to draft a project. Said, how long do I have? And he said, 24 hours. And I said, whoa, wait, let's see what we need. And then we drafted this project. I called Professor Fabiano, the late Professor Fabiano Fonseca from the Federal University of Viçosa. He worked with me in my doctorate, and he was extremely important in this process. And so we started designing the project. We also had the collaboration of Fernando Cardoso from Embrapa Pecuária Sul, and a professor from UFG. We did that with a large group of people, and it was a very intense process to reach this state, which is the embryo for the in-house evaluation, right? So, do you know where that story got you? Today, we have an international certification, right? That is one of the fruits from this work that we developed. We had to just like face the situation, right? Because there was an international audit that came to check everything that we were doing. Yes, they check everything. Yeah, we actually invited them to do that. We called them to audit us. And people who are working with us, they know how important it is. But other people ask me, why are you inviting an audit of yourself? And I said, well, I want to be sure in what I'm doing and pass on credibility. Yeah, but you trust your work, right? To call the auditors and say, come here, analyze what I'm doing. And I think that has actually two contexts. One, you are being humble and putting yourself in a position of, I want to improve. Because, of course, in the same way that we got here, we got the certification, but the auditors may have just shown many things that you needed to adjust, for example. Yes, there were suggestions for improvement. But the document itself said that the process was very consistent. There is always room for improvement. It's very weird to analyze something and say there is nothing to improve. Yes, I agree. I think that we have to improve every day. So tomorrow I want to be better than I am today. So if there is nothing to improve, the challenges of tomorrow are not the same of today. We have to adapt, right? We have to evolve. What we can say is that what we produce here in terms of genetic evaluation is in the same standard of quality of the best breeding programs around the world. Yes, and that brings me to a point that I think it's important. Sometimes it's tiring for everyone. We have a high technology product that is internationally validated, but there is still a number of people who do not understand what's the goal, what is the purpose, and they sometimes generate a lot of noise. These genetic evaluations that Henrique is mentioning that have been validated, they had a goal. There was a goal. And it is that specific goal. For that goal, they are technically correct. However, people interpret that ABCZ places the evaluations as the only thing to be done. No, this is a crucial tool. And if we don't adopt these technologies, we will be left behind, because the story of the breeds has shown us that. You can look at that wherever you go in the world, not only for bovines, but for other animals as well. And sometimes people think, forget about all the other things. You don't have to think about the morphology. The animal may not have a breed. No, that's not what we are about. Oh, that's something that I wanted to ask. What is the greatest difficulty to make it happen? Is literally the people understanding how to use this huge amount of information that is generated. Is that it? Is that the biggest challenge? Well, the greatest challenge is the transfer of technology, is to make the people who are using the technology understand that it's a very important tool, but you don't build a house using just one tool. You need a set of tools that complement one another. Pliers do not replace a wrench. If you are doing something, you need both of them, right? So this analogy is simple, but yeah, well, it's perfect analogy actually. In our reality, there are two big groups of characteristics, qualitative and quantitative. The genetic evaluation deals with quantitative characteristics, the ones we can measure. However, there are qualitative characteristics that we evaluate visually, and they are extremely important. Yes, they are crucial, and they are related to production characteristics, however, indirectly. I talk a lot about grooming, for example. In our country, the main production is extensive. Animals who are not very well groomed, they're not going to be producing as much. They're not going to mate correctly. They will not bring this quality. Yes, they will not be able to bring to the phenotype all their potential, right? Yes, and there are other characteristics such as pigmentation, harmony, and so on. And so the technician of ABCZ is extremely well trained to do that evaluation. And it is very important. You cannot let go just because of the genetic evaluation, because things walk hand in hand. Oh, and this week we will bring our technicians from all over Brazil so that we can continue this chat. Yeah, so we can really hear from them the problems that they have in the field. Yes, we will start with you guys talking about all these challenges, these hindrances, and then we are going to hear the other side, the people who are working in the field talking about their difficulties. And I'm pretty sure that it will be more or less the same to help the farmer learn how to use, what are the ways in which you can use, because there is not just one single way. Yeah, people sometimes they have a problem with the concept of breed. Sometimes this is very confusing to people. Understanding the concept of breed as being only a set of characteristics, such as the size of the ears or the position of the horn. The real concept of breed goes beyond that. These indicators, these ethnical breed indicators, they show that the animals that have that characteristic, they have more genes in common than others, and that increases the possibility of having similar behavior. That's what breed is translating the phenotype with the predicted behavior. But this predictable behavior is also very varied. Nobody expects that an animal, that a big black animal with white spots will produce good meat. It's a phenotypical indication. Now, the production itself varies a lot. And you have an additive genetic base that can be captured. And that's why we have this genetic evaluation to see the consistency within the population and their capacity to pass it on. Understanding the breed concept in a broader way is, I think, our greatest challenge. And there is a polarization in this discussion. Either you are a purist or you are focused in numbers. Yeah, but university, you always taught us about the balance, right? Yes, exactly. These things walk hand in hand. I think this has been our greatest challenge. Yeah, it's very hard. I'm sorry to. No, you can continue. Well, we try to look what's happened in the world, to see what happens in the breeding programs all around the world. We are in the same level of everyone else, but they started before us. So we can observe what they did and see what happened so that we can learn from that. Of course, we can never ignore the examples, right? That's why we have history, so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. Yes, sometimes when we made mistakes is because at the time we had not had this opportunity of looking at the examples. But today we do. We have the whole world at our hands. Nothing is as far away that we will not learn about it. Yes, today we have information like we've never had before. I always highlight this about learning from what happened in other breeds and other examples. We have the example, for example, I always remember this issue of learning from what happened with other breeds. We have an example, for example, with Holstein cattle, is the one that has more defects that we know, but is the one that we have studied the most. The others only don't have so much flaws because they had not been studied enough, but the Holsteins have. And I believe that one day our Zebu breeds will also be more studies. We will identify more qualities and flaws and things to be improved, right? Because that's what genetic improvement is about. Yeah, what happened to the Holstein cow? For a long time, we were discussing the milk producing capacity, and but at some point, they were focused only on dairy production. At some point, they were producing a high volume but low quality milk with very few solids and a lot of water, and the breeding was worsening. So they revised the whole process based on evaluations. It's not on what I think, and they brought back the characteristics of rusticity. We increase a little bit of the production of milk, but increase solids. Yes, characteristics that today we know are necessary, right? And this can be said of other species as well. For example, in poultry, we have the Chester, right? With the development of the chest, and we had greater problems of fracture because you had more weight. So you have to always find a balance. You cannot think of one characteristic and forget about all the other breed characteristics. For sure, an animal is a group, a set of characteristics. And of course, we have to select the breed characteristics. Of course, I agree. I believe I'm 100% sure we need to do that. But we also need to produce and we need to be efficient. And for sure, what I would like to know from you is what we are doing now. I think is just the first step compared to what's going to be done in 2 or 3 decades. So, where do you think we're going to get in 2 or 3 decades? Well, I don't think I will live to see that. Oh, come on. I hope you will. And then we can have some wine and continue this conversation. But what is your answer? We have a lot of challenges today thinking about the now. But what if we start thinking ahead? Thinking about the future. I'm not even talking about 1 or 2 generations. Imagine 10 generations from now. Can you? Yeah, well, I think that's a very big challenge ahead of us. Because if you think about the market, for example, there are several initiatives that go against the consumption of meat. And I think we need to show that the meat consumption is healthy and is sustainable ecologically and economically, and it's socially fair because it generates employment. There is a whole chain with it. We need to make more efforts to show that to society. This is at the core of the problem and the set of challenges that we have ahead of us. Oh, I agree. I think this is one of the main challenges when we think in the long run. Of course, these alternatives have came up, and I think all of these lab meat, all these alternatives are welcome. I don't think it's viable. The cost of production, at least today, is absurd. The laboratory meat is actually something that I find very funny. Their main argument is the protection of animals, right? Animal welfare. Animal welfare, we're the ones who are most concerned with animal welfare. Exactly, we depend on that. But for laboratory meat, at least today with the technology that is predominant, you need the fetal serum of the bovines. So there is a big contradiction there. And also there is the issue of cost. And these products, as Henrique mentioned, the criticisms that we have for meat consumption, the vegetable products, they use the name of the product. For example, vegetable or plant milk or plant meat. I don't like it. I think, yes, I think there is a mistake being done in the name that induces a misinterpretation on the part of the consumer. In our Congress, in our parliament, we have a legislation being passed because milk is milk, meat is meat. These products are important. These new products are important, but they need a correct name. They can't call it plant milk. They cannot appropriate the name. And in this future that you're talking about, sometimes I do like to imagine what it will be like. Yes, how livestock production will be when Olivier is grown. Well, I think we will have a very vertical livestock production because there will be less area for production, a lot less area. The demand will be much greater, so the use of technology, including genomics, will have to be part of this process. And I believe that until then, we will know a lot more about the DNA, not only of bovines, but other animals. And we will have much better instruments for selection. There's too many things to discover. Yes, sometimes I wonder, every time that you publish the genetic evaluation and I see new characteristics, new things being evaluated, I look at it and think, wow, in the past we only had 6, and now look how big the list is. And I think in the future, imagine how many characteristics that we will start to evaluate, and that may help in this process of of making our livestock production increasingly more efficient. There is one thing that I'm very concerned about, in part because I work in Brazil and abroad. I had to learn how important our country is in the world context as a food producer. The food security of a huge number of countries around the world depend on Brazil. Of course, we want to share this responsibility with many others because many other countries have conditions to produce like we do. But the responsibility of keep pushing things forward and being pioneers, innovators, generating technology and information, I think this responsibility we have already undertook. And I feel very proud to see that we, Brazil as a country, and we and at ABCZ, we have put ourselves in this position of sharing. We also share these technologies with people from all around the world. And I believe people will demand that increasingly more. Yes, I am sure of that. We do not have any competitors yet. Well, but I welcome competitors. I welcome all the competitors to add to the market. Yeah, but there is one thing. In technology, you may have other countries with greater capacity of investing, but something you can't buy is time. And Brazil has been producing meat for more than 100 years, right? And this technological package is biological and connected to time. It is our turn, guys. We usually say that you only find a saddled horse once, and this is our moment, right? If we don't seize this opportunity, the game will change. Exactly. I'm not making any criticism to anyone, all right? Because each institution should defend their own business. That's natural. But today, the genetics for swine and poultry is in the hands of very few companies. And this is concerning in terms of national food security. It is a strategic issue for our country, for maintaining the genetics in the country and investing in the efficiency of production and genetic improvement. assures us that this genetic market will be kept here in Brazil. As you said, Brazil is the reference in producing milk and meat in the tropics. ABCZ, who is the association responsible for maintaining the evolution of zebu, is the main party responsible. I'm pretty sure that you are tuned to everything that's happening. Yes, we are here talking about the behind the scenes, but we do know that, yes, we have that internal concern. It is a bias that we have in our work to keep developing the work of research and selection and breeding. Sometimes people look at us and think that we only exist during Expo Zebu and Expo Genetics, but no, here we are crazy all year round. They say like, oh, the expo finished, so you have time now. Nope. Yeah, a lot of people tell me that I'm going to spend 1 week just resting. No, it's exactly the opposite. Yeah, people have no idea how crazy it gets here during the whole year round. There is no routine. We only have time to arrive, but everything can happen during the day. A lot of things can happen. So literally, ooh, it's a roller coaster. Every day it's a roller coaster. Sometimes things are solved in a day, but in others, problems get even more complex. Yes, they get more complex, and you ask for a consultancy. ABCZ, because it's a national institution that has been internationally recognized in your work internationally as well. Everything it does has to be very well thought of because it will be replicated a number of times later on. And for us, this entails responsibility, doubles our responsibility. For sure, not only the responsibility, but also the dedication, the care with which everything is done. This is something I like to highlight. When ABCZ puts a product in the market, you can trust blindly. If you can buy it with your eyes closed, because there is a level of attention, of safety, of testing, in a way that I sometimes stop and think, what level of care is this? How long you held an evaluation, thinking about it, thinking what to do with it, trying to look for how to bring this to the market and transform, make it a product, and then you finally do it and you're able to release it, to launch it, and that is the moment in which you can rely because yes, it's a very reliable process. We do a lot of tests. We carry out several tests. One thing, Easy, that I like to say all the time, and I think Jose may contribute even more than I do, is that going back to the genetic evaluation, sometimes people believe that genetic evaluation is a magic number that comes out of nowhere. But these calculations, they are only possible. It's only possible to calculate this evaluation with the data that comes from the field. So the zootechnical registries and proofs are the base on which we do the evaluation. And we do have also a long history of these records. Jose can talk about how carefully we deal with those data. Yes, the validation of the data. The topic of expogenetics is that, right? Is the power of information. And this information is only generated when we collect data. The data is that become information. There are events that already happen in the fields, and the events that have already happened in the field are registered, and we work to detect the pattern in order to forecast what's going to happen in the future with a greater degree of accuracy. And the results of the validations have shown that those predictions are very reliable. I'm not the interviewer here, but I would like to ask Jose that. Can I? Of course, of course. I pass the floor to you. Don't ask hard questions, please. Wait a second. There's one thing. At the time he had hair, right? And you're gonna tell us what happened. I don't even know what happened myself. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Oh my god. No, but that picture, I'm already losing my hair. Yeah, but you've been for a long time in ABCZ, right? Well, what are you doing, Izzy? Is this a timeline of my hair? Well, it's not my fault. Somebody assembled those pictures. Wow, look at this one. Yeah, this one I'm 100% sure that my wife was involved on making that picture. I was 25 years old on the left side. Wow. That's great, Marcio. Thank you for putting that. That was an excellent idea. Now, please tell us why did you lose all that hair? I was not prepared for that, okay? I was not. Uh, I think genetics explains a lot in that. But what about the environmental factors? Maybe, but I think preponderant factor is genetics because both sides, my mother, my father, all the males, they all of them are bald. So I don't think I could have escaped that if I tried. Anyway, the proofs that we started acquiring, they started in 1968. That's when we started making the controls and making measurements. And CDP, what we call CDP, is the base of our system of genetic evaluation. And we collect most of the information, sometimes alternating between the farmer and the technician. And we have generated the largest database on bovines in the world. And I believe for all other breeds as well, I think ours is largest. We have millions. 20 million phenotypes. Yes, 20 million phenotypes. It's it's too much, right? It's a great historical series. And that is what allows us, or allows Henrique and his team to develop and apply this methodology. Henrique mentioned something interesting that people they need to understand. Many people understand genetic evaluation as a magic number, but the principle of genetic evaluation, I'm going to be very simple here. We work on deviations. We observe, we find the average within a group, and you have deviations. These deviations may be negative or positive in relation to the average, right? So, of course, we have a lot of statistical treatment involved as well, but in the end, what the model does is looking at this is deviations, see what is genetic and what is not genetic. But we never invert the situation. If the deviation is positive, you may say part is genetic and part is not, but we don't invert the value. Yes, there is no loop, right? Yes, I say all the time that this animal has a behavior that's inferior to the contemporaries, and then I will say it's superior. No, that never happens. We do not create the numbers. We just apply adequate statistical treatment to understand the numbers. And this is what people sometimes don't understand. And sometimes I think is because they look at the world around them. And sometimes it's hard to expand that for the breed as a whole because we are talking about millions of observations. But in the farm, we don't see that amount. There is a law in destiny, right? Sometimes a cattle will be good in my farm and bad in yours, or actually vice versa. Well, we could have two average animals. Why not? Well, anyway, this is where the lack of understanding lies. Maybe due to the partial observation. Most people have a partial observation and it's within their rights, but also because they may not understand the process. The thing is, based on everything that has been done, the genetic trends that the department of Henrique has delineated, all the breeds, with no exception, they are in the process of evolution. Yes, all of them. And this is what matters. Some go faster, some are not as fast, but we are in this evolution. And we can see, easy, that this is very gratifying, that with time the engagement of the farmers has increased. Where could we see that? We received the data. And proportionally, we have never received so much data between one genetic evaluation and the other. I'm talking about genealogy, phenotype, and molecular markers. We were never so well accepted by many farmers, and now the farmers are believing in the information, and if they believe it, is because they can see it in practice. They are getting the results, right? And we have received feedback from farmers. And I say to José, we got the feedback from the farmers, and we have 200 eyes that are our technicians that are in the farms, and they interact with us very well. And we need to know what's happening from the gate inwards, and that's where things happen. We only provide support for decision making, but the star of the show is inside the farm, is on the other side of the gate. And if it's not working there, it doesn't make sense, right? Yes, we are doing very good work, but what we need, the goal is to have results on the farm. Look, let me tell you one thing. There's a lot of people over there signaling to me, saying that we have exceeded our time. There's somebody waving at me, saying that our time is over, the 40 minutes are over. Oh, I didn't even feel it. Well, yes, because the chat was so good. So, in order to close, I would like to invite you guys for another opportunity. We come back and start talking. We didn't even talk about genomics, right? Which is a new moment. We are in the beginning of this new era, right? So I will leave this invitation here so that we can come back to this exact point and talk about genomics and share more about that. It's very interesting what you said, Isi. ABCZ started this process of genomic evaluation in 2018, and today we are in one of the 5 largest in the world. So in 4 years, we evolved a lot. Yes, I'm sorry to cut you. I think this is a topic that we should discuss for 1 hour. Okay? Yeah, I said. I'm very, very happy with that, and I'm very grateful that you accepted not only the invitation, but the challenge of coming here and talking to me in the very, very first podcast that I'm doing. I don't even know how to do this. I don't believe it is your first time. Come on. I swear. It's my very first. Actually, I usually joke around and say that my natural habitat is the corral, right? It's not the TV. But anyway, thank you all very much. Please send our love and our kindness to Olivia, and we will keep this video so that your granddaughter can watch it in the future. Henrique, thank you very much for participating with us. And you are invited for the next one. For me, it was excellent, and I will come another opportunity. And for you who is watching our first podcast made in Brazil, this challenge that we embraced, I really hope that you enjoyed it and that you received this information. And most importantly, you met 2 special people, extremely important, extremely competent, excellent professionals, and more than anything, wonderful people that we have here with us every day. So thank you very much for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.